All right, let's quickly cut across to the latest news break coming in. Scale down beating the retreat ceremony. No handshake, no opening of gates at Attari-Wagah border. Beating the retreat ceremony resumes after 12 days. That's our top focus in our second debate coming up at 7:30 p.m. Let's move on.
उन्होंने ट्रेड रोकने की धमकी देकर ऑपरेशन सिंदूर रुकवाया। क्या सिंदूर का सौदा होने देंगे हम और सवाल नहीं पूछेंगे?
Sindoor ka sauda, the explosive phrase the Congress is using to launch a scathing attack on the Narendra Modi government over Operation Sindoor. Versus BJP posting a morphed conjoined image of Rahul with Pakistani Army Chief Asim Munir, alleging Rahul, a Pakistani asset in India, who is set to demoralize forces at behest of Pakistan. The dust yet to settle on Operation Sindoor, yet a political storm is already brewing. The BJP versus Congress agenda Operation Sindoor. Leader of opposition Rahul Gandhi accused the government of informing Pakistan ahead of Operation Sindoor, compromising national security. He cited a statement by External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar to make the charge.
At the start of the operation, we had sent a message to Pakistan saying we are striking at terrorist infrastructure. We are not striking at the military. So the military has an option of standing out and not interfering in this process. They chose not to take that good advice.
Seizing on Jaishankar's statement, Rahul fired a pointed question. Did India lose fighter jets because Pakistan was forewarned? The Congress then hit out at the Prime Minister.
भारत को कितना नुकसान पहुंचा आपके अचानक सीज फायर से और भारत को कितना नुकसान पहुंचा एस जयशंकर की एट द स्टार्ट ऑफ द ऑपरेशन पाकिस्तान को बताने से.
The latest now, Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge claiming Operation Sindoor was a chutput conflict.
ಈ ಟೂರಿಸ್ಟನ್ನ ಪೊಲೀಸರ ಮುಖಾಂತರ ಯಾಕೆ ಹೇಳಲಿಲ್ಲ? ನೀವು ಹೋಗಬೇಡಿ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ತೊಂದರೆ ಇದೆ ಅನ್ನತಕ್ಕಂತ ಮಾತು ನೀವು ಹೇಳಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ 26 ಪ್ರಾಣಗಳನ್ನು ಉಳಿತೀವು ಮತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ಈಗೇನು ನಾವು ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಚುಟ್ಪುಟ್ ಯುದ್ಧಗಳು ನಡೆದಿವೆ.
The BJP seizing political opportunity to corner the Congress.
कहीं ना कहीं इसमें मुझे राजनीति की बू आती है और कम से कम खरगे जैसे वरिष्ठ नेता से इस प्रकार के गैर जिम्मेदाराना बयान की उम्मीद नहीं की जा सकती.
The government pushed back hard. The Ministry of External Affairs fact-checked Rahul Gandhi's claiming that they are completely false and a misrepresentation of facts. In fact, BJP shared the DGMO's briefing on May 11th to point out Islamabad was informed after their strike.
We did attempt to reach out and communicate our compulsions to strike at the heart of terror to my counterpart in the immediate wake of Operation Sindoor. The request was brusquely turned down, with an intimation that a severe response was inevitable and in the offing.
It is unfortunate and very regrettable that the Congress party and its senior-most leadership, including Mr. Rahul Gandhi, several leaders, have often chosen to disregard what our armed forces say and instead raise or ask questions of them or the government. They asked for proof and evidence and questioned the surgical strike. They questioned Balkot. Now they are raising questions on Operation Sindoor.
The BJP went on to equate Rahul Gandhi and Pakistani Army Chief Asim Munir, alleging Congress allegations playing into the hand of Pakistan.
जो लोग पाकिस्तान के पाखंडी प्रोपेगेंडे के प्रॉक्सी प्रमोटर्स बनने की भूमिका निभा रहे हैं, ये वो लोग हैं जो लोग कभी देश के संविधान पे सवाल खड़े करते हैं, संसद पे सवाल खड़े करते हैं, संवैधानिक संस्थाओं पे सवाल खड़े करते हैं.
Clearly, with military operations coming to an end and the operation on pause, the political consensus on Operation Sindoor is also up in smoke.
And that's our top focus in this bulletin, viewers, and there are certain questions we pose before we introduce you to our panelists this evening. The questions that we asked this evening: Congress's charges justified or frivolous? Because the Congress has outrightly questioned the government on certain facts of Operation Sindoor, especially the statement given out by the Minister of External Affairs, Dr. S. Jaishankar. Should the government clear the air on certain pertinent questions? Political consensus on Operation Sindoor over. We'd seen a strange sort of unity earlier, but now that completely up in smoke. Well, this is a question for the Congress. Why so much skepticism about operation and the government's intent? I want to cut across right now to our panelists this evening. Joining me, Ashutosh, author, political analyst; Rajat Sethi, political commentator; Sanju Verma, national spokesperson, Bharatiya Janata Party; Shama Mohammed, national spokesperson, Congress. All of you will get 2 minutes to make your points. I want to begin with Shama Mohammed. Shama Mohammed, let's break it up in parts where the entire controversy or the contention coming in on Operation Sindoor is. The latest, I want to ask you, Shama Mohammed, is it right for the Congress president to label Operation Sindoor chut put, which I would reckon would seem to suggest a small friction or a small conflict?
Okay, Preeti, before I speak, I have a request. There's a woman on this panel representing BJP. She abuses, she interrupts. I would like you to see to it that she does not do it, because I have used respect for you and I've come as a guest because of you. All right, because I just saw her right now and I know how she is abusive. Now, let me get to the point. Now, let us take facts. Let us see what we are seeing today. Today, I was really very shocked and hurt and angry that there is a picture of Rahul Gandhi with a half face and Asim Munir, who is a terrorist in an army uniform. Putting somebody in a constitutional position in such a picture, it is sedition. Let us make it very clear. We had put up a picture, a Gayab, and we were attacked. Anything against Narendra Modi, we say it is anti-national. Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister, is sending MPs all over the world to talk about Operation Sindoor. Here, his idiotic Amit Malviya is putting up a poster equating the leader of opposition, who is, said, I give full support to this government for Operation Sindoor, against a terrorist in an army uniform, that is Asim Munir. That is sedition, and strict action must be taken. Number two, there is a minister called Vijay Shah, who has said Sofia Qureshi is the sister of a terrorist. When you speak against the army, it is again, when he's speaking against it, it is against the army. The Supreme Court has pulled up the Madhya Pradesh government saying, why have you not taken action? Why has Modi not taken action against the anti-national Vijay Shah? If one does not take action against an anti-national, who is the anti-national? Mr. Narendra Modi, of course, because these are very, very pertinent questions we are asking. Now, Rahul Gandhi has asked certain questions because he has written a letter asking for a special session of parliament to speak, talk about.
Shama Mohammed, your fader is going to go down. We won't be able to hear you. I'll circle back to you in exactly 2 minutes. I just want to once again come in and set the premise of this debate. Let's all, and this is for not one panelist, for everyone, let's not all be abusive at all to those who are in the panel or outside. Because Shama, you also used a word right now in your own opening remarks, and I would also hope that you'll also avoid it the next time, right? So let's hope this is for everyone. I want to bring in now Sanju Verma into this conversation. Sanju Verma, the fact is, why is it not in national interest to question the government on certain issues where it comes down to Operation Sindoor? That should be the primary job of the opposition. If they're asking questions to equate them to Asim Munir and to call them Pakistan stooges, is it really right? Because what they're doing is exactly what they should do, ask questions of the government.
Preeti, I have huge respect for you, but I did not want to make this into a tutu meme. But since Shama Mohammed started by saying that there is a panelist who's very abusive, referring to me, let me remind, this is the same Shama Mohammed who had to delete her tweet after calling Rohit Sharma fat. On your show now, she called Amit Malviya as the idiotic Amit Malviya. On your show now, she said, who's anti-national? Of course, Narendra Modi. So I repeat, Shama Mohammed is a low IQ, dim-witted Congress retailer. Now let me come to the moot point. Now let me come to the... I did not start it. She started. She has to listen to the response if she gets abusive. Preeti, she called the Prime Minister anti-national on your show. Let me now come to the moot point. The moot point is this, Preeti. There is the National Security Act of 1980, which was made more stringent by 1984 by whom? By Indira Gandhi. ये सारे कांग्रेसी कहते रहते हैं इंदिरा गांधी होना आसान नहीं है. Under the National Security Act, the political establishment of the day, the Modi government in this case, reserves absolute unequivocal right to disclose information as it deems fit in extraordinary times such as these. We are in a warlike situation. Pawan Khera and Rahul Gandhi are asking कितने विमान उड़ गए, कितने विमान गायब हो गए, कितना आर्थिक नुकसान हुआ हमें, कितने आतंकी बचकर चले गए. So Rahul Gandhi and Pawan Khera in slow motion, please go back and listen to the press conference by the DGMO, Lieutenant General Rajiv Ghai, and Air Marshal A.K. Bharti answered every pointed question. Please do not undermine the valor of our armed forces. And Shama Mohammed, next time you call the Prime Minister anti-national, I will take you and drag you to the court.
Okay. There. All right, your time is up. You know, the fact is, I just want to make one quick interjection before I move on. You know, we're all adults here, each one of us. I would really hope, I respect each of you. I would hope you respect the show and respect each other. And beyond that, you know, I can't constantly keep monitoring this debate as a class teacher. The other thing, you have 2 minutes. You can choose that to attack each other, or you can choose it to make a cohesive point in support of your party. I want to bring in Ashutosh, who's also with us right now, as well as Rajat Sethi. Ashutosh, the larger question is that the opposition, as it should, is seeking accountability from the government. But it's a fine line, because you seek accountability for the government, but on the same line, you need to present a united picture against terrorism. To, at this juncture, seek questions and look skeptical about the government and Operation Sindoor, call it chut put in the Congress president's words, do you think, you know, that should pass?
See, Preeti, we are a democratic society, we are a free society. Before answering your question, let me quote, let me take you back in history. 1971. The Supreme Court of America has given its verdict on the Pentagon Papers. And Nixon administration tried its level best that the truth about the Pentagon Papers should not be made public. But Supreme Court did not accept their logic and said the citizens have a right to know what is happening. And citizens have more right to know when the country is in crisis and when the decision or the policy decisions are made by the government which can really jeopardize the peace of the country and the citizens. That's the fundamentals of a democracy. So if anything is happening under the Operation Sindoor, I can understand that when the operation was going on, the whole country was with the government and everybody knew this. But once the Operation Sindoor is over, opposition and the concerned citizen have every right to ask questions. And the penetrating questions, the question which should really trouble government. The government cannot hide behind that this is something related to the national security and this will jeopardize. No, I do not agree with that formulations, because the government has every reason not to tell many things. I can understand that. But the government can always call the leader of opposition and the opposition leaders within the four walls of the room, can tell them, can explain them. But this public spectacle which has been made for the last week or so, this is demeaning our democracy. And this clearly shows that the government doesn't want to answer questions. Government cannot hide behind that this is demoralizing army and something like that. The Indian history is known to the fact that when the 1962 China wars were there, opposition asked questions. During the wartime, the parliament sat and tough questions were asked and government responded.
Okay, so your fade is done. I want to bring in Rajat Sethi. Rajat Sethi, especially in times like this, diplomacy is a tightrope walk. Every word that we put out there needs to be very measured. Every statement needs to be completely watertight and not open to interpretation. Now, what started this all between the BJP and the Congress was the statement, and I'll take this question to the BJP spokesperson as well, of the Minister of External Affairs, Mr. Jaishankar. To quote him verbatim, He said, Rajat, we had sent, I'll go again, we took the, because even at the start of the operation, we had sent a message to Pakistan saying we are striking at terrorist infrastructure and not military, and the military has an option to stand out and not interfere. Of course, thereafter, we had many clarifications, both from the Ministry of External Affairs as well as the DGMOs, who made it very clear that we only informed Pakistan after the first strike. But a statement like this, Rajat, is open to interpretation. And the Congress did exactly that, because if you read it in the first draft or without any clarification, it seems that we did in fact forewarn Pakistan. And the sheer fact in diplomacy we have to come out with clarification after clarification is really not on.
You know, English literature or English professors or teachers of all the schools would be pulling their hair right now that how could 2 or 3 lines of our foreign minister couldn't be interpreted by the collective opposition, including Congress party and its entire ecosystem. It seems like one BrahMos has landed on the collective intellect of Congress party and has completely impaired their thinking. I am telling you, Preeti ji, if God forbid, there is another terror strike that happens in India, India will first go after the terror camps or mark out individual terrorists and go after them. I'm telling you preemptively. I don't know when it's going to happen in the future. How is this statement make me as if I'm colluding with the Pakistanis? I mean, do people who interpret and listen and read stuff have basic sense of comprehending the statement or not? Were we clear that we are going to attack Pakistan and attack and go after their territory? Of course not. Operation Sindoor objectives were pinpointed, clear from day zero. The day zero being the Pahalgam attack. Now we are going to come after that. The same pattern happened in Balakot. The same pattern happened in Uri strikes also. And the same pattern will happen in the future if Pakistan dares to attack again India through its terror modules. Now, I don't understand. This is what I'm trying to say. In the one-upmanship that Congress is finding itself in, they are currently losing the battle. Therefore, what has happened is that these minions around Rahul Gandhi, including Jairam Ramesh and Pavin Khade, they have lost it completely. They are not able to control their urges and are just putting up nonsensical posters upon. It is demeaning to say the least. And above all, it is aiding Pakistan's narrative. All these cartoons that they are tweeting here are actually being broadcasted on Jio TV in Islamabad. They should be ashamed of themselves. They should absolutely, if you can't add anything constructive, do not destruct our country.
Okay, your time's up. I'd like to give all of you 2 minutes, so I'm going to take myself out of, this conversation without any questions. I want to begin with Shama Mohammed. Shama Mohammed, 2 minutes, your final submission, ma'am. Go ahead.
When he said about why the Congress is speaking and talking, one, we have asked for an all-party meet, not given. Special session of parliament, not given. Like Ashu said in 62, special session of parliament was called to explain. After 26/11, I remember we invited L.K. Advani in parliament to speak on this. So that is how it happens. It did not happen here. Now he mentioned how we are attacking based on, like you said, when you first read it, of course it's forewarning. We have experience of Devendra Singh being caught with Hizbul Mujahideen after the Pulwama attack. Where is Devendra Singh? Has he been hung? No, we don't know where he is. He's out of jail. We have Pathankot, where ISI was called to investigate. The perpetrator of the crime is called to investigate. Let me make one thing clear. We caught Ajmal Kasab and hung him. We caught Afzal Guru and hung him. Where are the 4 terrorists? Where are they hiding? Do we know where they are? Have we caught them? At a time when we are going abroad to explain about Operation Sindoor, here you're equating my leader, Rahul Gandhi, with Asif Munir, who is a terrorist and nothing more. And also, let me tell you one thing. On one side, we have Vijay Shah, who is out there. Even the Supreme Court has told BJP they have not taken action. There is Sofia Qureshi on the other side, and Mahmoodabad, where New York Times and every other paper is asking, the man has not done anything. Why is he behind bars? Just because he's a Muslim. That is the thing. And it is our right, the Congress party is right to ask questions. We'll continue to ask questions on what has happened. If the Prime Minister of India refuses to answer, just like Advani asked a question after 26/11, when Manmohan Singh was ready, the Prime Minister of India doesn't come for the all-party meet. He is never there. He's quiet on Vijay Shah. We want to know, I want to know today from the Prime Minister of India, why was Pakistan forward? Why did we have a ceasefire when we were ahead? And what is
okay, ma'am, the fader is going to go down. We won't hear you. 2 minutes. Sanju Verma, your final 2-minute submission. Please go ahead.
So, Preeti, let me make this very clear for the benefit of your audience. Ahmedabad bombing, Congress ne kuch nahi kiya. Jaipur bombing, Congress was caught napping. Coimbatore blast, Congress was caught napping. Mumbai 26/11 terror attack of 2008, 166 people dead. The proxy government of Sonia Gandhi was snoozing at the wheel. Chinnaswamy Stadium blast in Bengaluru, the Congress was snoozing. Pune Bakery blast, the Congress was snoozing. Samjhauta Express blast, the Congress was snoozing. Now look at the track record of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. We avenged the Uri strike via the surgical strike of 2016, which was a ground operation, and we crossed the LOC. 2019, we avenged Pulwama with the Balakot strike, which was an air strike, and this time we not only crossed the LOC, we crossed the international border, which had never happened for the last 6 or 7 decades. Then what happens in 2025? Via Operation Sindoor, forget crossing the LOC, forget crossing the international border or going beyond POK. We struck at the heart of Pakistan. We struck at Lahore, at Karachi, at Punjab province in Pakistan, at Rawalpindi. And you know what? Neutral military experts, one of the foremost war historians, John Spencer, he says this was one of the most decisive victories in recent times. Tom Cooper says this was a great victory by the Modi government. Walter Ladwig, security expert in London, he says Modi government has done the unthinkable by bringing a nuclear power like Pakistan down to its knees in less than 23 hours by completely paralyzing their 11 Air Force defense systems. And yes, let me tell you, terror has a name, terror has a religion, and that is radical Islamist terror. And Congress keeps appeasing.
Ma'am, your fader's gone down. Like I said, I'm keeping myself away. No questions. I want to, give it to the panelists. 2 minutes, Ashutosh, for you to make your final comments. Go ahead, sir.
Preeti, I have 2 questions. One question is why the Prime Minister has not taken the trouble to lead all-party meeting and brief opposition on that issue. I have been a journalist for a very, very long time, and I have never seen something like this in my past. Neither the Narasimha Rao, not the Atal Bihari Vajpayee, nor the Manmohan Singh, none of them. Whenever there's an all-party meeting, the Prime Minister himself briefed the opposition, and any question, whether small, big, or whatever, he faced the question and tried to answer the question and tried to convince opposition with respect. Second point. First of all, I fail to understand whether it is before the event or after the incident. Why Government of India needed to inform Pak Army? This is a question which is really astonishing. For the simple reason, because either we make a distinction that Pakistan Army is not the army which is sponsoring terrorism. And if we believe so, and I think Government of India believes so too, that it is the Pakistan Army, it is the Pakistan administration and establishment which is behind the terrorist activities, then why we are making a distinction? Why we are attacking only the terrorist organizations? Why so? If we are making this distinction, should I not infer that we believe that the General Munir is not a villain? And that is why we make a distinction between Hafiz Saeed, Jaishankar Mohammed Chief, and General Munir. Sorry, that's a wrong assessment, and that should not be there. The fact of the matter is that the Pakistan sponsors terrorism. Pakistan Army, if tomorrow decides not to support terrorism, there will not be terrorism and there will not be terrorist activity on this country, on our land. So this really affects me, and this really troubles me, that why Government of India needed to alert and tell and inform Pakistan Army that we made only attacked only the.
Okay, 2 minutes, Rajat Sethi, please make your point, sir.
Well, if this is the last interjection, I can only say that the whole Ramayana is over, and we are still asking what is Ram and what is Sita. What do I say to such ridiculous statements? I don't understand, why is this repetitive thing coming in? Why did you brief? Is it as if there was a hotline which was opened up between our MEA and their foreign minister discussing that, see, I'm going to, at this point in time, I'm going to blast your terror camps? What is Ashutosh even talking about? My point is, take a chill pill, understand the consequences of what you are trying to peddle here. The point simply remains that when a terror attack happened on us, we had the right to respond. From an international justice jurisprudence standpoint, you have to have a correspondingly equally terror-focused, a very surgical attack. Otherwise, people around the world will call you an aggressor. Does this basic sense, is it that difficult to comprehend? India gave a proportionate response in the first instance. It was only when Pakistan again attacked our military bases that we went after them lock, stock and barrel and gave a bloody nose to Pakistanis. Why can't this basic sequence of events makes them so so unclear and so confused as a whole lot? I just fail to understand that. Again, my simple point here is, Congress now, after making treason level allegations against the foreign minister, absolutely has lost the ground to be engaged by the government. The government should henceforth should not engage Congress party, because these are bunch of lumpens who are not worthy of civil conversations anymore. He should be ostracized, left aside, and all decisions should be taken by the government by directly engaging with the Indian public. These people he is not my leader of opposition, and I will fight for every instance where he opens his mouth and utters rubbish and finishing the incomplete agenda of Mullah Munir. That is what he is doing.
All right, your time is up. I'm going to leave it at that, because I know each one of you want to come in, but that's that. We're going to leave it for our viewers to decide. We have an opposition. The job of the opposition is to question the government. Is the opposition doing that as per our viewers, or is it stepping a line? We'll let you decide on that.
After a 12-day suspension with heightened Indo-Pakistan tension, the retreat ceremony at 3 border points in Punjab, including the Attari-Wagah border, set to resume. The ceremony will be scaled down under altered protocols. Without the symbolic opening of border gates or the customary handshake between the Border Security Force of India and Pakistan Rangers. Audiences will be allowed to witness the ceremony from the Indian side under heightened security. However, the big question that needs to be asked, at a time when India has made clear that Operation Sindoor is on a pause and not over, when Pakistan refuses to accept its role in harboring terror. While India is building a global offensive on Operation Sindoor, should we really care for hollow ceremonial protocol? Top focus on To The Point.
All right, joining me for quick perspective on this is Mr. Brahmachalani, Strategic Affairs Expert. We are also joined by Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, retired, former Chief of Staff, 14 Corps and DG Infantry, Indian Army. I want to cut across first to the General. General, at a time when we are very clear that Operation Sindoor is on a pause, number one, at a time where Pakistan refuses to acknowledge its role in fomenting terror, at a time where we are trying to go on a diplomatic offensive, sending delegations across the world, making the world understand the kind of role Pakistan has played where terror in India is concerned. In midst of all of this, to hark back to what has been ceremonial protocol, would you think it correct?
Preeti, thank you very much. I think the opinions are divided. One, that most of them might want to say, well, look, everything is held in abeyance. The Indus Water Treaty held in abeyance. The thing is, Pakistan still continues to use terrorism as an instrument of state policy. You're right when you say that delegations going all over the world to tell them what Pakistan is all about. And under these circumstances, to have a ceremony like this, well, to be seen as probably both countries also want to normalize relations. The second opinion is, well, Pakistan has always been continuing using terrorism as an instrument of state policy. That is not going to change. And under all circumstances of Sindoor is now for matters. If Pakistan takes it beyond this, then of course the retaliation will be there, but stand suspended and probably might lead to better times. And all these optics, if people are coming in racks on both sides, then of course the gates are closed. There is no handshake. So that particular kind of conveying a message that look, the gates are closed. There is no handshake because as a country you don't seem to be changing, and it is because of the terror which we are affected by. So it is both ways. I think well, if you ask me, it makes no difference because if people are coming in lakhs over there and are wanting to witness the ceremony, which is there, invariably we do have these ceremonies, retreat and reveille all over in all Portugal. So even if it is seen as a ceremony which people want to see, so be it. But if the government intends not, because I'm sure this is a government call, that well, let the ceremony carry on, let people come there because one of the tourist points where most people do go there. And obviously the gates will remain closed. There will be no handshake. But retreat and reveille, irrespective of whether the gates open or not, this ceremony will still be there. Whether people witness it or they don't witness it. But the dramatic optics, that would be there at that point of time between the two sides, between the Pakistani Rangers and the border security force. That won't be there. But ceremony will be there. If people are willing to come and witness a scaled-down ceremony, so be it. Yeah.
Mr. Brahmachalani, what do you make of it? A scaled-down ceremony, but would you reckon possibly the messaging is very confusing because at one end you're building a diplomatic as well, as a front where you seem to suggest that Operation Sindoor is only on a pause, and on the other hand, to once again go back to what has been a largely ceremonial ceremony seems to be suggesting normalizing of relationship, and we are far from that.
Consistent and clear messaging is important. But in India's case, we are never sending out clear, consistent messages. And the revival of the beating retreat ceremony at Attari-Wagah border and similar ceremonies at other crossings like Hussainwala and Sadak, just 10 days after India's abrupt halt of its military operation, clearly means that we are slowly but surely returning to business as usual. How else will people interpret this? And look at the irony of it. We have a central government in office that claims to be nationalistic, and yet it clings to a colonial legacy. Beating retreat ceremony has its roots in colonial military traditions. Now this decadent practice is being revived at an inopportune time. Of course, this practice has been reinterpreted and amplified, so it bears no semblance to the original British practice. It has become a ceremony that draws large numbers of tourists. The aggressive stomping, synchronized drills, and loud commands are intended to project an image of strength, discipline, and readiness. Thousands are drawn to this spectacle, contributing to local tourism and to the local economy. So clearly, by not having this ceremony, Amritsar's economy, for example, was suffering. But is that the reason to revive a decadent practice? Don't we have larger objectives in mind? What kind of message are we sending to our own people? That we are returning to business as usual, 10 days after abruptly halting the military operation, that too just hours after the Indian armed forces struck key Pakistani air bases and seized the upper hand on the battlefield. Just then, the government of India accepted a ceasefire.
Fair point. General, I want to bring you back into this conversation. The sheer fact with what Mr. Brahmachalani also pointed on, what kind of messaging is this? Because there's a fair amount of confusion. At one end, both the political and, even militarily, we've made one point very clear that from here on, our doctrine on terror has changed. How we look at Pakistan has changed. It's going to be very different this time. And you've had largely the people of India come together in unison with that thought, with clarity. However, when visuals like this go out, where you have people cheering on, India on one side, you have tourists lining up, it might be for economic reasons, but the messaging is very confusing. Forget about international audience, even to your own domestic audience.
To be honest with you, if the tourists are coming, who are these tourists? They're Indians. They are our own people from wanting to go there to the border. They aren't coming from abroad. Very few come from abroad over there. Most of them are our own locals. I've been there. I've seen it so many times. Our own people. Quite happy to be there, cheering and everything. Until and unless you decide, for us, Pakistan only exists. That's all. We have nothing to do with Pakistan. Then I would go and stop everything. They'd have nothing. They exist. That's on the other side of the fence. And that's the gate closed. That's the end of it. Or if there are neighbors, there's nothing that much that we can do other than put a tremendous amount of pressure. Because Pakistan is not going to mend their ways. Pakistan is going to remain as it is. Then nothing is going to change much. But yes, the pressure. And the pressure both on their military and the pressure on their political side and the people across. That look, India is a big country. All said and done, if the ceremony carries on, the gates are closed. We are not going to shake hands with you because that's the way you behave, and this kind of a behavioral pattern is not acceptable. And we insist and we do not hesitate in saying that, look, Pakistan is the hub of terrorism. Pakistan is using terrorism as an instrument of state policy all that time. No, it's supposing, let's put it this way, you close it, people won't come. But if you open it and you still find lakhs of them coming, now what messaging are we going to give? Our own people. They are nothing. Messaging is to be for whom? After all, if our own people want, if they are there, supposing for next 3 days you find only trickles, just 10 people, 15 people, 100 people, obviously close down, don't let them come in. But this particular ceremony of reveille and retreat is a part. It's a part of the system. It's done in all corner guards across the country, in all infantry battalions. So nothing new about it. So if there is a guard at the presidential palace, which is at the Rashtrapati Bhavan, which is going to change, so you will find that if there are 100 people there discussing, the ceremony is there. If people are interested in watching, I think so be it. Now there's nothing that you can do because these aren't people. We aren't creating. Most civilians are not aware of what people in uniform do, what is it like, and most of the people who come here are from all over India, down south, east, west, everywhere, and they just want to see what is it like. That's it. Yeah.
Fair point.
Particular. Yeah.
Make your point, sir. Finish.
Yeah, so what I was conveying is that when people are coming from all over India, this is just one of the tourist points. They're going to the Golden Temple, they're going to go and see that museum over there, then they go over there, they go to Jallianwala Bagh. So this is part of the tourist circuit where people don't mind seeing what is it like. Most of them are where is the border? Most people don't know where the border is. This is the border, this is the gate. Of course, gate is closed, everything is there. It's just an attraction for the people. If people of India don't want it, they won't come there.
Fair point,
but if they are still coming in lakhs over there, then irrespective of what we want to do, there's nothing that we can do about it. I think I look at it this way as a person who was in uniform 10 years back. I would say it's okay, carry on, doesn't matter. It's been there for years since 59, the ceremony going on, so be it, nothing very much. And until you say, for us, Pakistan only exists. We don't care one bit. We are not going to trade nothing. And that's it. Then, of course, I would say, don't have a look at it. Still, you'll find people will come there, want to see what is the border like. They go to Munaba also in Rajasthan to go and see what the border looks like, how is it like. It's curiosity. For us, it's a daily thing. For people from across the country who come as tourists, I think the curiosity, nothing else.
Fair
point. Look at it from that point of view, attaching no political significance.
Yeah. All right. I want to bring in Mr. Brahmachalani into this conversation because Mr. Brahmachalani, away from the economies of these 3 towns in Punjab where, this retreat ceremony has opened, there's a fair point that General Kulkarni also made that you know, and I just would like to add to it, because the whole spectre of it all, the optics of it all that we were touching on, there is a huge chunk of the Indian population which subscribes to a machismo way of looking at patriotism. For them, you know, some might call it jingoism, but the optics of it all is very reassuring. And that's what they go and see, and that's, you know, what they instill on. Would you reckon maybe for that, this could, you know, why not?
Beating retreat has its origins in British military tradition that dates back to 17th century England. It was originally a signal for soldiers to return to the barracks at sunset, hence the term retreat. But India and Pakistan carried forward this tradition. They amplified it, they made it nationalistic, they became rival spectacles at the border, attracting large crowds daily. But is that the reason why we should continue with the decadent practice? A practice that seeks to show how well we are prepared at the border. Actually, the reality is that our biggest weakness is border security. With all the countries in South Asia, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Nepal, China, you know, the land grabs in Ladakh, Pakistan, terrorists managing to enter India repeatedly. All of India's security problems center on inadequate border management and inadequate border security. With all due respect to General Kulkarni, he said, Pakistan will not change. Operation Sindoor was designed to change Pakistan's behavior.
Right.
The different steps that India has taken are also designed to change Pakistan's behavior. If Pakistan's behavior will not change, then why are we doing various things? Okay. Why are we sending MPs abroad? Why have we put the Indus Waters Treaty in abeyance? Why did we engage in this 3-day Operation Sindur? What was the point? In fact, if the operation was going to be only for 3 days, we would have been better off had we kept Pakistan under sustained military pressure and used non-military tools to exert pressure on Pakistan. Pakistan's behavior will change if India adopts a sustained approach, an approach that seeks to exert sustained pressure on Pakistan and imposes costs as and when necessary.
Right. All right. You know, General Kulkarni and Mr. Brahmachalani, I appreciate both of you for joining us in this, quick discussion. We're going to leave it for our viewers to decide on where they stand on this. We've tried to give you both sides of that divide. Appreciate both of you for joining us. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.